So for this assignment we had to pick 3 pictures of Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf and explain something about them and make a little analysis of the pictures. I chose this picture as my first picture, where we see Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf walking side by side. Little Red Riding Hood is wearing her signature red cape and hood, and a small dress and some fine shoes, while the wolf is wearing a coat and a hat that he is tipping towards Little Red Riding Hood as a greeting. In this picture, the wolf is looking very kind, I would say, and is actually looking like he's just talking to Little Red Riding Hood while she is looking up surprised. They are surrounded by a small house and one tree here and some in the background, and then the sun looks like it's setting, which creates this yellow background. In the picture, the colors are very settled and light, and it gives off this very much calm appearance. There aren't even really any dark colors except some grass and then their shoes maybe, but they've also kept out any shadows of the people, which gives off this light and calm appearance instead of giving off a more threatening appearance. In this picture, I would say they both look very calm. Even though Little Red Riding Hood is looking up surprised, it's more of like, oh, there's someone behind me who is talking, with the wolf coming up and then saying hi. I would also say the way he tips his hat off to say hi to Little Red Riding Hood doesn't give off this very intimidating or threatening like nature that would be associated with a wolf. So it more looks like two people chatting to each other and maybe taking the rest of the walk together than anything threatening to anyone. The next picture I chose was this one, which is picture 2. And here we see Little Red Riding Hood, who has stood, and we actually get to see more of her face this time, and then we have the wolf sneaking up behind her. In this picture, Little Red Riding Hood is also wearing her signature hood, and she is carrying the basket. And the little hood could actually symbolize the strength and love, which could be very much appeal to this, like Little Red Riding Hood, because she's actually taking the walk through the scary forest where the bad wolf is. In this picture, the wolf is actually looking like a real wolf, but has these like characteristics from the classic, with the big ears, paws, and eyes, and then he is baring his teeth to the little girl, which makes her look more stunned and frightened in this picture. In this picture, they seem to be surrounded by some trees and are already in the forest. The colors of this painting is very, very dark. The only color actually coming almost from Little Red Riding Hood's cape, which is this bright red color. Because, for example, the wolf emerges from a completely black spot, and the earth and the backgrounds and even the wolf are kept these very dark colors to represent the darkness and the evilness that can come from this picture. As said early on, we get to see more of Little Red Riding Hood's face, and I think in this picture that she looks very stunned and frightened to actually have this wolf up in her face with these big eyes and sharp teeth. And the wolf is also giving off a more dangerous and threatening vibe because he's bearing these teeth and he is walking up behind her in a more dangerous manner. In the third picture is this one, and here we see Little Red Riding Hood dancing in the middle of the forest on her way, while there's a wolf over here lurking behind a tree. Little Red Riding Hood is wearing her signature hood again, and this time wearing a striped shirt or dress and some striped socks and gloves. And we don't really see much of the wolf except these yellow glowing eyes and the claws in the tree with blood dripping off them. In this pic, Little Red Riding Hood is surrounded by darkness. The trees are dark, the grass is dark, and the atmosphere all around her is just very dark. The only kind of color that comes is again Little Red Riding Hood and then the blood dripping off of here. And then we have this slight light around Little Red Riding Hood. I would say this light could symbolize that she is goodness and she's walking into this bad wolf's forest, and then she has this light that surrounds her that isn't really appearing anywhere else than where she is. In this picture, I would say Little Red Riding Hood is very ignorant of the dark woods and like what is in these dark woods, because we all know the classic and we all know that she was warned of what is in these woods, but she seems very happy and just on her merry way through it while she is dancing and smiling. Um, in this picture, the wolf is very threatening because I would say the fact that we can see the wolf just uh, makes this more threatening, because it's actually just if you look to the side, you could easily miss the wolf in the side. It's also because we see this blood dripping off the claws. Last up, we had to pick our favorite image, and my favorite image is actually the first one, as it reminds me the most of like the story that I have heard of Little Red Riding Hood. That is mostly because in that story, Little Red Riding Hood is actually friends with the wolf at first, and like they get along and they're telling each other things, and he's actually helping her out of the woods. And it's first later on that you find out that the appearance that the wolf actually had was kind of like fake, and it was a cover for what he was actually thinking about. Therefore, I just like the first image because it shows off the wolf as a formal and kind guy, and then actually he's the total opposite. I also feel like it covers like people with the same distress and hurt over the wolf when it turns on Little Red Riding Hood, because in the first picture you don't actually see anything bad happening. It's just a wolf like standing up here and smiling, and in the other pictures the wolf is kind of like looking more evil and has these evil characteristics. But in the first picture, it's just a kind wolf actually looking like he wants to help Little Red Riding Hood.